If past encounters have left you exhausted, sensing an invisible weight after being around others, this message isn't for everyone. It's specifically for the chosen ones, those souls anointed to heal, uplift, embody divine light. If you're not ready to go deeper, to take spiritual responsibility, close this now. But if your heart trembles at the thought of spiritual mastery, stay. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. It not only supports the YouTube algorithm, but helps deliver this sacred message to those in need. Now, let us commence. Padre Pio taught that only those who bear divine light feel others' burdens as their own. When you are chosen, your spiritual energy resonates on a frequency beyond ordinary perception, and you sense heaviness where others feel nothing. People who feel drawn to you may unconsciously offload their pain into your field, and your gift makes you a conduit. You were chosen not for glory, but for spiritual service. Padre Pio's stigmata were not just marks, they were portals through which suffering was transformed into redemption. Similarly, when you feel drained near some souls, it's often because those souls instinctively channel heaviness into your light body, trusting, without knowing, that you'll hold it. His wisdom: if souls knew how much good is done by a mere touch, they would not hesitate to reach out. And yet, if that touch is constant without boundaries, your reservoir depletes. Chosen ones must learn the sacred boundaries that allow healing without being consumed. When you feel fatigue, it's a sign, not of weakness, but of a heart-filled past capacity. This is your first lesson. The light within you attracts shadows, and unless you reclaim spiritual sovereignty, those shadows will dim your brilliance. Padre Pio showed that spiritual energies are real forces that interact. Love, fear, faith, and despair each carry frequency. When you absorb fear or negativity without discerning filters, it feels as depletion. Many who suffer this mistake aren't dark-hearted, they're empathetic, gifted, divinely gifted, yet they lack energetic safeguards. He counseled that prayer and intention are spiritual armor. Before engaging in human interactions, infuse your own consciousness with a protective aura made from divine light. Much like he prayed over the faithful to lift curses or Satan's influence, you too must invoke energetic purification, spontaneously, silently, spiritually. Drained? It means your light is discharging faster than it regenerates. Refill your source, retreat into silence, Eucharistic presence, meditation on the Sacred Heart. Padre Pio spent hours in intimate prayer, often with his face turned to the Eucharist. That built his energy store until he could radiate healing without burning out. Remember, spiritual exhaustion is not a failure, it's a signal that your inner well runs dry. Refill it before drawing from it again. Some souls feel drawn to the chosen not because they love them, but because they need energetic repair. People often unconsciously seek spiritually gifted individuals to anchor their turbulence. Your presence calms them, but if unchecked, it also empties you. Padre Pio described this as souls leaning on his ribs, feeding on his sanctity like moths to flame. You may find emotional vampirism is not intentional, it's unconscious. Those around you may repeatedly replay trauma, negativity, or despair, thinking you'll absorb it. Padre Pio encountered many who confided sin or sorrow, thinking confession of the soul to a holy man was healing. But not every confession must become your burden. Being chosen means not everything given you must stay in you. Discernment is divine grace. Learn to receive with compassion, process internally, then let go. Madre Pio's example: she would touch souls with her stigmata-laden hands, then return to prayer, letting grace, not guilt, flow. Let this chapter be your awakening. Not all pain is yours to carry. You are meant to carry light, not endless sorrow. Padre Pio never demanded literal isolation, but he did retreat regularly into sacred solitude, periods of silence and contemplation. Grounding is not optional for chosen ones, it is the foundation. You ground by planting roots deep into divine source through prayer, sacraments, nature, and inner stillness. Begin each day by anchoring yourself into divine love. Visualize roots descending from your heart into luminous cosmic soil, drawing pure light up to fill you. End each engagement by exhaling any accumulated shadows into holy light. Padre Pio often exhorted, stay continuously in the presence of God. In practice, that presence is a shield. Adopt disciplines: short silence after each deep conversation, breath prayers, walking in solitude. Communion with nature. Sacred music that lifts the spirit. Resist overgiving. Renew not because of obligation, but because your luminous service cannot serve without fresh energy. Healing becomes sustainable when you create sacred cycles. Give love, recharge in solitude, give again from full. Have you ever left a conversation or a room feeling like something vital was stolen from you? Not in the physical sense, but a drain, a pull, a weight that wasn't there before. This is not mere imagination. Padre Pio often spoke of invisible realities more real than what we touch. Energy is the unseen currency of spiritual beings. The chosen ones, by their very nature, carry a luminous charge, heaven's investment deposited into their soul. But not everyone around you is there to add to that balance. Some, knowingly or not, come to withdraw. Padre Pio revealed that there are souls who thirst, not for water, not for truth, but for light. Yet they do not ask for it in humility. They pull, they cling, they manipulate atmospheres. And you feel it. As a chosen one, you are not just a person, you are a spiritual beacon. Your presence heals, comforts, uplifts. But without discernment, it also exposes you to depletion. Every time you feel tired without physical cause, irritable after being near someone, or confused after a seemingly casual talk, ask yourself, did I guard my energy or did I give it away unconsciously? This is why many chosen ones are led into isolation for a season. Padre Pio spent hours in solitude, not as punishment, but as preservation. He once said, beware of those who constantly seek your company yet leave you feeling fragmented. Not all friendships are godly, not all attention is holy, and not all support is sincere. The enemy does not always show up with horns, sometimes, it comes with compliments. And so, the chosen must learn to protect their field. You must begin to discern beyond faces and smiles. Start asking, what is this person doing to my spirit? True spiritual maturity is not in how well you preach, pray, or post, it's in how well you protect what God placed inside you. Guard your peace like treasure. For in it lies your clarity, your direction, and your communion with heaven. And once you allow it to leak consistently, you begin to live reactive rather than purposeful. That is not the life meant for the chosen. Your mission is too sacred to live tired. Chosen ones, be warned, not every smile is a signal of peace, and not every warm welcome is meant for your comfort. Padre Pio saw deeply into souls and often discerned the hidden wolves in sheep's clothing. Some people around you are not who they appear to be. They carry spiritual masks, crafted through flattery, manipulation, and pretense. These masks are not just social disguises, they are spiritual tools of deception designed to slip past your defenses and drain your light quietly, while still appearing innocent. When you feel drained after being around someone who never says anything overtly harmful, you may question your intuition. But listen carefully, spiritual warfare rarely begins with obvious attacks, it begins with subtle compromises. Padre Pio said, the devil sends his agents not as destroyers, but as pretenders of light. They echo your language, mimic your passion, reflect your mission, but their energy does not resonate with your spirit. You sense misalignment, even when their words seem supportive. The chosen are highly intuitive. This isn't paranoia, it's perception gifted by the Spirit. Learn to trust the discomfort, the tightness in your chest, the confusion that arises when certain people speak. These are not flaws in your emotional makeup, they are signals. The enemy knows it cannot stop the chosen from ascending, so it tries to surround them with counterfeit mirrors, people who imitate light but operate from shadows. The goal? To distort your reflection, question your path, and dull your discernment. To overcome this, you must go deeper in solitude, in prayer, and in observation. Watch actions, not just words. Feel energy, not just tone. Ask yourself not just what they say, but what shifts in you when they enter the room. Padre Pio would often retreat after encounters that disturbed his spirit, not out of fear, but preservation. You must do the same. Protect your clarity like an altar. For when your spirit remains clear, your enemies can only watch, they cannot access. Here are battles you never signed up for, yet you wake up every day feeling like you've just returned from war. The fatigue is real. The heaviness is undeniable. But what if I told you that it's not your body that is tired, but your soul? Padre Pio once said, the human soul is the battlefield of heaven and hell. And the truth is, chosen ones often carry light so potent that it provokes a war in the unseen. When you enter a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because of your presence alone, but because of the frequency you carry. Some people, unknowingly or intentionally, carry shadows. Not just negative thoughts, but dense, clinging spiritual energies, attachments, bitterness, envy, unresolved wounds. You don't see these with your eyes, but your spirit recognizes them instantly, and it braces itself. Your light agitates what they've grown comfortable hiding. And because they can't contain what you stir up, they subconsciously feed off your calm to sustain themselves. It's not always witchcraft, it's energy exchange at a spiritual level. Padre Pio taught that the closer a soul draws to God, the more that soul becomes magnetic and repelling at the same time. Magnetic to those who seek healing. Repelling to those who resist it. This paradox is why the chosen often feel drained around certain people. Not because those people are evil, but because their inner chaos is allergic to your inner peace. You are unknowingly waging spiritual warfare by just sitting silently in someone's presence. Your very being becomes an exorcism to unspoken wounds. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You learn discernment. You learn that not every invitation requires your presence. You learn to set boundaries, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Padre Pio was often misunderstood, even avoided, because people felt uneasy around him. Not because he was harmful, but because his purity exposed what others tried to bury. As a chosen one, your peace will often be mistaken for pride, your calm for arrogance, and your spiritual energy for manipulation. But stay the course. Your light is not here to please, it's here to heal, confront, and awaken. There is a divine reason why you feel more than others. Why you walk into a room and immediately sense disarray, even when no one has spoken. Why you sense lies in truth-cloaked tones and see pain in well-hidden smiles. This sensitivity is not a flaw, it is your anointing. Padre Pio often reminded us that those whom God calls, he equips, but not with weapons of this world. He equips with discernment, with tears, with invisible armor. And yes, sensitivity is armor. It's a spiritual filter, tuned to detect both divine frequencies and spiritual pollutants. Chosen ones are not drained because they are weak, but because they're open. While others guard their hearts with pride or ignorance, you walk into life with your heart exposed, like Christ on the cross. You don't just hear words, you feel intentions. You don't just witness actions, you experience their energy. That openness is a gateway. And so, you attract both the hungry and the hostile. The weary see you as refuge. The toxic see you as prey. And if you do not understand this, you will always be confused by your own exhaustion. But Padre Pio taught that true power lies in awareness. He said, walk the world like a visitor, not a prisoner. Know what is yours to carry, and what must be left at the foot of the cross. You must learn to distinguish between compassion and spiritual absorption. You can care for others without consuming their pain. You can listen without internalizing. You can be kind without becoming a doormat for spiritual parasites. This is your sacred responsibility as one who is chosen. Energy does not lie. And when you feel drained around certain people, your soul is sending you a warning. Pay attention. Your fatigue is a form of spiritual communication. Do not ignore it. The chosen ones are not tired because they are lazy, they are tired because they are constantly transmuting energy around them. And to continue this sacred duty, you must learn to recharge with intention, to retreat without guilt, and to remain in alignment with your divine source. Now, as we draw this sacred teaching to a close, remember this truth: your light is sacred. Padre Pio warned that when God gives you fire, the world will either try to extinguish it or steal its warmth. That's why you feel drained. That's why they gravitate to you in silence and leave you in exhaustion. But now, you are no longer ignorant of the spiritual laws at work. You are awakened. This teaching was not just a video, it was a mirror. A sacred revelation for those who've always wondered, why do I feel this way? Now you know. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are chosen. And with that identity comes a great responsibility, to protect your energy, guard your peace, and walk in discernment. So I leave you with this: you must stop pouring endlessly into vessels with no bottom. You must stop shrinking so others can feel safe in their darkness. You must rise, radiant and unapologetic. Because the world is desperate for your light, and you cannot afford to burn out now. Padre Pio said, pray, hope, and don't worry. But he also said, the soul that is full of light becomes a weapon in God's hands. You are that weapon. You are that light. And now, you've been reminded of your calling.